Well, good morning, truth seekers. It is your host on the coast, and we're going to be bringing to you some really interesting information, some updated things, videos, and whatnot from Nancy Grace, my girl, about you know who, and the situation that we all know is not true. They are trying to pull another JFK on us, and are we going to allow it? Keep fighting the good fight. Here we go. I might interrupt at times because that's just what I do.
An Epstein bombshell, a shadowy figure dressed as an inmate, is spotted climbing the stairs to Epstein's cell. What? And we're just getting 11 new hours of video? Where's that video been all this time? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Okay, here we go. She's going to explain a lot and show some videos. I'm sorry this is not absolutely perfect, but it's the best I can do.
There's thousands and thousands of pages. Who came to his place? Who flew on his plane? Who went on the Lolita Express? Who went to his private island where girls were? Something stinks. I want justice. It's been described as a mystery orange blob, but that is not entirely true. Let's take a look at a clip we got from the video that has just been released. You have to look. In the original copy, it's a lot easier to see, but it is an elongated orange figure. It's not as they're trying to tell us somebody carrying laundry that's much better. That's much better.
Look over to the right of the screen and you can see him.
To Epstein's tier. Okay? We've been told the guards were asleep and one was shopping online when he was killed. We've been told the two doors
I'm also curious about these guards. No one has interviewed them. Did they immediately go into the witness protection plan? Have their bank accounts been monitored? Has the IRS been involved? Because someone could easily offer these people $5, $10, $100 million to close their eyes, pretend they're asleep, being shopping on Amazon, and meanwhile, someone is sneaking up through the stairs in the back door to take care of Jeffrey.
Seen over and over and over the only way to get onto his cell tier. That is a lie. See those two doors? Total BS. Those are
Start watching, you'll see.
Now, we also were told that there's a problem with the CCTV, that you can't see Epstein's cell. Well, okay, everything we're being fed is poison.
It's all a lie.
To this.
The public was already skeptical of the DOJ's claims. The footage from the shoe where Jeffrey Epstein was housed clearly shows Epstein is the only person who entered his cell block the night of his death. A mysterious orange blob climbing the steps to
Keep
L block
watching.
has eviscerated all trust in their review. The Inspector General says the movement on the staircase around 10:40 p.m. is CO Tova Noel carrying inmate linens up to the elbow.
I mean, you can't see it very good on that. There is going to be a better picture in a moment. Hey there, Pura, and hey, JHB. How's it going, baby? Just keep on watching, people. And let's not let this be another JFK, another RFK, and another MLK. We must keep this in the public consciousness.
But video analysis experts say it's more likely the figure was wearing orange, not carrying orange material.
Joining us an all-star panel to make sense of what we are learning tonight, but I can tell you this, having been in innumerable CIs, correctional institutes, jails, halfway houses, juvie jails, you name it, I've been in it. Max, hardcore.
Nancy, been there.
Nobody walks the halls in CI with their hands full of laundry. That doesn't happen. Your hands have to be free.
I'm going to tell you something also, too. You do not have to be an inmate in the jail to know what goes on. I used to volunteer my time for a program to help the people learn in the jails. And even at the state level, just even in a county jail, these things are locked up extremely tight. Matter of fact, the jail that I was working in had many of the things automated. Food and things were on these little tracks and would come around. So for them to try and get us to think that this just, oh, yeah, he was just alone and those people fell asleep, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in minimum security and it doesn't happen in maximum security. And how much information is Maxwell going to get now that anybody basically can walk on that property? Because where she's staying, there are no gates. All right, let's continue.
If someone were transporting laundry, it would have been in a roller bin. As a matter of fact, we're going to show you in a moment a worker coming out with a roller bin.
Okay, watch.
But see down there, hands free. Everybody, hands free. And first of all, before I go to our investigative report, I want to go to Dr. Dwayne Hendricks, former associate warden at MDC in Brooklyn, former senior warden, U.S. DOJ.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Federal Bureau of Prisons. It goes on and on. Founder, president, New Daylight
Just keep
Foundation,
watching.
and author up. See the wheelie? That's what I'm talking about. She has her hands free, and everything she wants to carry, she's got it on a workman's apron around her waist. That's SOP. Author of Who Are You? See It, Say It, Sees It. Dr. Hendricks, isn't it true that in a CI, especially one that has...
Yes, Mike, it's terrible. They're trying to JFK us all over again, as if we are idiots. You know, there are many, many people who know how to analyze video and data much better than we did back in JFK day. Anyways, I'm sorry for interrupting. Let's just keep watching.
Causes dangerous inmates like this one. Nobody is walking around with an armload of laundry. That does. Here's another guy. See? Hands free. What about it, Hendricks?
Yes, that is true. All laundry is carried on a cart. And if they're inmate workers or there's normally an order.
Mike, my comment to that is, my sense is they have been trying to normalize and taking away the function of words that have great import. When you go around calling everybody a pedo, that means nobody's a pedo.
On each unit, even if it's special housing, typically it's an inmate who isn't violent or doesn't have any serious history going on. So typically they will have laundry on the cart. The inmate, the staff will open the slot, and the inmate will take whatever laundry from the inmate, and then they exchange. So it has to be exchanged for dirty linen to clean linen, and that's standard operating procedure. Typically, laundry exchanges normally happen during business hours. Sometimes they may happen during the evening, but after the 9 o'clock count, inmates are locked down, and there's really no reason for them to be out of their cell after that 9 o'clock standing count.
Well, you're going to flip when I tell you this, Dr. Hendricks. According to the wardens on the floor, of course, one went to sleep, one was online shopping or some BS like that. They allowed...
Thanks, who's ever giving me all those hearts. Yeah, I'm a little bit worked up about this because my times here on YouTube, I have seen many communities in the community take that word and call everybody that word, and they have devalued the essence of what that means. If there's any crime in the world that could be worse than child abuse, I'm not quite sure what it is. Tell me. Stop using that word in random ways. Don't just throw that word around. Also, too, I'm seeing the government trying to normalize it when just recently Trump had a commission for children and exercise. And he had a man up there, look at my posts, who'd been convicted and tried and found guilty of predation on a 16-year-old girl. And then he refused to register as a sex offender, standing right next to Donald J. Trump. How many people in his orbit have been convicted of sex crimes and child abuse? All right. Hey, Micah, let's move forward.
Epstein to go into the bathroom showers to make a private phone call, and I guarantee you there ain't a payphone in the showers. Totally violating the rules of the CI. Letting an inmate go unsupervised into the bathrooms to make a phone call? No.
First of all, he should have had a restroom, toilet, and a sink in his cell.
He did.
So typically, when inmates make phone calls, they'll wheel a phone with a long cord to the cell. They'll open the slot, and the inmate will make the phone call at the cell. So unless they took him actually to someone's office to make an unmonitored call, I don't see why that phone call would have happened. Because typically inmates in special housing, other than their attorneys, you only get one call every 30 days.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Are you worried about olive oil? One old Nancy, she just got moved to a cushy, basically camp, a camp.
They call these camp fed.
They have yoga. They walk freely. It's the cushiest club fed. This is what you look up club fed in the dictionary. It's this place. She's been moved there. Why is she getting special treatment? What's happening with her? I don't like it. That's one thing.
Ms. Ghislaine is also in the same jail cell with that lady who did that Theranos scam. Elizabeth Holmes, who talks, yes, I'm here because I'm here to help everybody have a better life, and let's do these nanotainers. Let's get our blood from nanotainers. Yeah, right, Elizabeth. And another notorious female. Talk about money laundering. Many people believe that was merely what Theranos was all about, was money laundering. All right, let's continue. I'm worked up about this.
But right now, I'm more concerned about who is the perp walking up and down the cell steps to Epstein's tier the night he was killed. It was at, I said earlier, almost 11. It was 10:39 p.m. And you're so right, Hendricks. That is not the time that laundry is exchanged or taken to the prison laundry. Okay, what do we know? Straight out to Tisa Tells joining us, investigative reporter. She's at Tisa Tells on YouTube.
You're gonna, as we move along here, you're going to be seeing more photos of the jail cell. And my thinking as to why they brought all those linens up there, because the cell is littered with linens, inmates' clothes and sheets and everything else. I think they brought that up there to mute the sound. No, Micah, you're okay with your questions. Not a problem at all. Question away. I believe you're going to see all of these. The room is almost like a padded cell at this point. And you're going to see, my theory on that is all that was brought up there because when they came in to do the dirty deed, and if it was one man or two men, they wanted to soften the sound. It's probably not that quiet. I'm sure that Jeffrey didn't want to go quietly because he had no reason to go. This man had dodged the bullet many times. Why? So you'll see all these linens and you'll understand what I'm talking about when they basically created a padded room to do their dirty deeds. Let's continue.
Tisa, hit me.
The fact that we are looking on a highly edited tape, they released 11 hours. They said there was a minute that skipped. We now know that there's about 8 minutes missing from that tape. There's not even the full, it's 10 hours, 52 minutes. We clearly see a shadowy orange figure. And they want us in a post our world to believe that it's some Tom and Jerry stack of orange jumpsuits up to the ceiling that they're carrying.
I mean, post Diddy, I guess that would be maybe the most recent reference, but what about JFK? What about all of the nefarious activities with MLK? And what about RFK? Okay, they are trying to JFK us all over again. My recommendation, Mika, is to keep it alive. Maybe if you have a channel, any kind of a YouTube channel, just start in the post section. If you don't want to make videos, you can post. There's a section where you can post. Just start posting when you go to share, and then it's going to give you the option to post. Just start posting things about this whole situation. Videos like mine, videos that other people have done. Really, I think that's the best way a citizen can get involved. Let's continue.
Through the correctional facility, and they want us to believe that that's not a human. The fact that the administration, listen, who knows why they are telling us not to believe our lying eyes, but we see it for what it is. That is a human being walking into a cell.
Let's see it again. She's right. T said my words exactly.
I wish they didn't
believe
have
you
that.
on my lying eyes. I see what I see.
I wish they weren't highlighting. It's actually easier to see when they're not highlighting it. Thanks for the 100%. Let's watch again.
Okay, joining us is Epstein's brother, who also agrees this is not anybody carrying laundry. But I want to go back to what we know about Epstein's death. What do we know? Joining me, Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author, Blood Beneath My Feet, star of a hit podcast, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott has attended over 1,000 death scenes of all varieties, be it accidental, natural causes, or homicide. Joe Scott, does it never end? Okay, I see what I'm seeing. I'm running it right here in front of me. The person clad in orange, is it an inmate in orange? Why isn't he already in his cell? Why is he walking free? Was he sent to this tier? If so, by whom? Why is he wandering around from tier to tier? In other words, floor to floor. Okay, or is it someone wearing inmates' clothes, which is even more disturbing? But I do know it is a human. I believe it is a male because they're tall, and they're wearing the prison orange jumpsuit. And they're going to Jeffrey Epstein's tier the night he's murdered. Why are you, like me, so convinced Epstein was murdered? And what does this mystery orange clad person have to do? How does it factor into your
Hey, Dania.
thesis?
Hello. Welcome to the video.
I think it would be an outlier relative to the injuries related to his death. They're trying to call this a suicide. And the problem is that what has been left behind, which has been well documented by Dr. Bodden, is the fact that you've got this indwelling fractured.
Here. I'm sorry, I just took a bite of my bagel. Here you're going to see, hey, Oklahoma, where the I forget how the song goes, but I love it. You're going to see all of the, excuse me, my bagel's delicious, sheets that I had been talking about. All these sheets, all of these clothing, outfits, everything, because I think what they wanted to do was muffle the sound when they went in there to strangle him. That's my working theory, because no one has given a theory yet as to what the heck is all of this stuff doing there. And as you'll see, they'll show more pictures. You're going to see the room is piled with it. It's piled with it. All right, let's move forward.
Cartilage in his neck, and it's on both sides, Nancy, right here to the left and the right of the Adam's apple. And then on top of that, you've got this fractured hyoid, which everybody has gone on and on about. The problem is that they're saying that he was hung. And one more thing we have to keep in mind, the ME in this case has stated that this is what's referred to as a soft hanging, which means he kind of settled down into this thing. There was not a lot of force with it. That's what she's opining, and that the hyoid snapped. Now, she explains this by saying that because of his age, the hyoid was ossified to the point where it snapped. Well, maybe that's the case, but you still cannot.
I'm not sure that I've heard any about the ossification of that particular bone. I'm not sure that I have heard a counter to that because Epstein's brother hired his own forensic pathologist to look at that. And I don't know if that has been discounted yet or not, that their working theory, the government's working theory, is that the bone was ossified. Ossified means that the bone is very brittle and fragile. That is what they are contending. But I haven't heard any contrary evidence to that point. So maybe both could be true. He could have been strangled, and he could have had an ossified hyoid bone.
Account for these cartilaginous fractures he has inferior or below that region. That's why so many of us are drawing this, this blank stare you get from us relative to you're trying to sell us this. This is more consistent with a manual strangulation or with a ligature where direct pressure is being
Yeah, I
applied.
was just about to disagree with you because this is clearly ligature. I mean, when you look at the pictures, this is not manual, Joe Scott. Now, I see in the back what you're talking about. I see in the back, it looks like it could be maybe a thumbprint digging in. No, I think that's the ligature from behind. But the front shot, that is not by hand.
If you're very curious about what these images look like, you can do a search online and see them. They did block them out for these purposes. Well, Micah, at this point, it's kind of all up for grabs, isn't it? Because they're trying to JFK us again. All right, let's continue.
Right. Can you keep this up here for just a quick second,
Yes.
Nancy? So you see this
Do it.
furrow. It's very, very, very deep. You see how dark it almost looks like? It looks like I think people would say, gee, that looks like a scab. Well, that is actually a furrow abrasion. That's what it's referred to, and it's very, very deep. This does not marry up with all of that dirty cloth that they've got laying around on the floor inside of his cell, that squalid area where he was living. And also, if you could please go back to the other image of his throat, you will see a mark that is slightly above that furrow. And just to the left side, there's kind of that abraded area. It looks kind of linear right there. It's superior to the furrow. That's what would be termed as like a readjustment mark, where this thing is being manipulated in some way. So do we have a couple of things going on here? Is it plausible that you could not only have a liquid?
They could have had more than one person in there, given how unmonitored the situation was. Two people could have done it. They wanted to make sure the job was done.
At work here, but then you have somebody applying direct manual pressure with their hand adjacent to this, or as a part of this to bring about his death. I think that's very interesting. I'll shut up after this.
Okay, that was a lot of words. And the only reason I'm interrupting, which drives everybody crazy, is driving me crazy, is because that was so much of a download. I'm not saying any of it's wrong. I do say this was not a manual. I mean, I'm not a death investigator like you, but I can look at that and tell you that was a ligature strangulation. I don't need to be an expert to know that was not manual. But everything else, I completely agree. But you have to, when you feed a baby that's not a death investigator, you give it one spoon at a time. That's not what you just did. Just give me your most salient and important point, and maybe I can digest that. Hit me.
Yeah, well, you've got multiple things going on here, Nancy, and we still have to be able to explain the fractured hyoid that is actually above or superior to that furrow. Okay, that's why I'm saying that there could be a couple of things going on here to kind of finish someone off. That's what, kind of runs through your mind.
Let me digest that, okay? See,
Yeah,
this is
sure.
what happens when I would go to the medical examiner's office. Everything they would say, I would go, stop. Okay, let me make a note of that in regular English. Let me see Joe Scott, please. You're saying,
I'm going to move into the other room here because I'm doing some work in my workspace here. They showed you a picture of what this cell normally looks like. Let's see if I can carve out a spot here to watch this. Oh my God. Okay, this is not the best video, right? Let me shut this. We'll see if that helps a little bit. Not much, not much. I think there's a lot coming in from here. I don't even know where that damn big piece of light's coming from. That's weird. Where is that light? Can I identify that light? Where that light's coming in at? Maybe I'll just move the whole family. Oh, that's better. That's a little bit better. Okay. No need to try and watch this in grueling circumstances. I wish everything was over here. It would be better. Whoops. I don't want to do that. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. Sorry for that little interruption, and we're going to continue on right now. We are looking at Nancy Grace, and she had some new footage of an actual person going up the stairs. It wasn't a load of laundry, like the load of BS they've been trying to give us, right? It was just a person. So let's continue.
that the ligature marks, which are so bad we may not be able to show the public, they go straight across and they're really deep, and one part looks scabby. Yeah. Look it almost looks like a scab, but it's not. It looks like deep bruising. Morgan just explained it. Now, you just said you've got the mark across the neck and the broken hyoid. You said is superior, but I think that means above that. Is that what that means?
Yeah, up here.
Okay, so
if
that would
anything-
indicate manual there at the hyoid. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Affirmative.
All right. I got it. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. One more thing. When you look at that furrow, Nancy, the furrow runs parallel to his shoulders. It doesn't go up. If you're talking about a hanging, you have to get this. It's called, we use the term tenting feature, T-E-N-T-I-N-G, where this thing comes up to an apex like this in the back of the head. Anybody that's ever seen this?
I call it a smiley face mark
Yeah, it kind of
because
is.
it goes
Nearly
from
runs
ear down to ear like a big
not what you've
smile,
got
which is
going on.
ironic because it's, that would be a suicide if you had the smile right there. But when it's
Sorry, I had to move it again.
across, that indicates somebody from behind yanking back straight across. I mean, it's so clear. I mean, did they think we just fell off the turnip truck?
Yep.
This is not going away, and I don't like it when it dies down in the headlines. No, it's not going away, and to try to feed
That's right.
us
Don't let it
this
die
line
down.
of BS that 11 new hours have just been released. Okay, to the point of tonight, Joe Scott, how does this figure, it's been referred to as a blob, but it's clearly a person, a male in a prison orange, going up the tier steps to Epstein's floor? Why are they there? They're not supposed to be there. This tells me there's more accessible, there are more entries and exits to this tier. How does that factor into your scenario? And this went down at 10:39 p.m. That's the time of the video.
Yeah. So I think that it would be really important to try to understand what the status of his body was when he was found, body temperature, these sorts of things, to try to understand time since death. Here's one more piece to this, a bit of video that I would like to see. That's fascinating, seeing that figure going up the stairs. I want to see if there's any video showing somebody descending hours later, minutes later, whatever the case might be. And how do you explain that image? How do you explain that person that is retreating from this location? That's going to be the real tale of the tape there.
Joe Scott, listen to this.
The footage released from the MCC offers a limited view of.
What is this? The modern day Zapruder film? We have so many more tools available to us now as an average person to see what's going on here. They just want to say, this is what happened, just believe it. Don't follow the money. Don't understand what was going on. So this is kind of like the Zapruder film all over again. Well, let's continue.
Shoe common area and just a sliver of the staircase to Jeffrey Epstein's cell block. Off camera to the right of the staircase is another entrance into the shoe. According to correctional officers on duty, that entrance is locked and blocked by a second locked door. One of those doors is controlled remotely, while the other requires a key kept on the CO's persons. However, multiple people are seen entering and exiting, while Tova Noel and Michael Thomas are nowhere near the door or not in the unit at all.
Hello, Nancy Grace here. To all of you homeowners, when's the last time you checked on your home title? If the flight modes are tripled up, we've been told over and over and over that what's in those files is shocking. Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, weirdo, Clinton, Obama. I've got another wrench through in the works tonight. At the height of his wealth, Epstein was worth about $600 million. But now we have pieced together the facts that he was transferring billions, as in B as in brother, billions of dollars to multiple banks, including flagged Russian banks. So they want me to believe a guy that was worth billions of dollars, that was having business exchanges with the Russians and others, committed suicide?
I don't think so.
That did not happen. Listen.
It is absolutely ludicrous for Pam Bondi to say that there is nothing to investigate. 4,000 wire transfers, that is a heck of a lot of lines for possible investigation.
Senator Ron Wyden claims there's plenty to investigate, including thousands of lines of Epstein's wire transfers that Epstein had to fund his sex trafficking ring somehow, and that the Treasury Department has discovered 4,000...
You know, Nancy's going to make a great point here in a minute, how the rest of us live. Even maybe if you have average wealth, just try and go to the grocery store and cash a check. It's like you're trying to break out of Fort Knox or something. Meanwhile, all this guy did was launder billions and billions of dollars, and the banks don't even get in trouble. They get a little slap on the hand for laundering his money. And yet the average person just trying to make a living and trying to go to the grocery store and cash a check is treated like a criminal. Let's continue. He looks like a clown there, doesn't he? The sad clown.
125 wire transfers totaling over $1 billion flowing through just one of Epstein's banks. They also found that Epstein had frequent dealings with a sanctioned Russian bank. Wyden claims the DOJ has financial records for Epstein and calls for them to be released to the SFC for further investigation.
I sometimes don't even know what to say.
Yep.
So this is just from one bank. And joining me, Todd Shipley, cybercrime expert, former detective, Sergeant Reno, 25 years, author of Surviving a Cyber Attack, Securing Social Media, Protecting Your Home, Investigating Internet Crimes. It goes on and on. He's at darkintel.info. Todd, thank you for being with us. I hardly know where to start, but having worked at the Federal Trade Commission in the Antitrust Division, I'm used to a lot of documents when I have to. nearly 5,000 wire transfers totaling over $1 billion, and that's just through one bank, including with sanctioned Russian banks. The DOJ is calling for an investigation. So Shipley, this is what I want to throw at you. Thinky, use that noodle, Shipley. Epstein had Lolita Island. He had his Manhattan 7-floor brownstone.
Yeah, Danae, just like with JFK. How come it took them so long? Because people were still alive. And also, too, most likely how somehow the CIA was involved and the Secret Service. I don't believe the FBI was. They have to keep this covered up for as long as possible. And they don't care what us little minions do about it. We can scrap and cry. The only thing I can say is, like I told Mika, is if you have a YouTube channel and you don't like to make videos, there is a place where you go and it says share. Share as much as you can share. Videos like mine and all these other videos out there that are trying to hold these people to account, because it does affect the ether. And that's basically what we're working in.
He had a mansion in Palm Beach. He had digs where he would hang out in London. His sex ring was worldwide. He had a little girl supplied to him from Jean-Luc Brunel in France.
Makes me sick.
His reported net worth was $600 million. You want to tell me, with the Russians, highly paid corporate clients who wanted sex with little girls and he would fix them
Sickening.
up, that nobody wanted him dead? Why do I need these 5,000 wire transfers tracked? Tell me, Shipley.
It's astounding to hear that and understand that there was that much money moving and nobody questioned any of this, especially when it was on Russian oligarchs that may or may not be sanctioned. That's, hugely problematic. And we know that, what's been going on, they can't do that. So it's terrible to see that this is going on.
Okay.
Almost physically, when I hear about, these abuses were perpetrated on Jufrey and all these other girls, I remember being that age very clearly. 13, 14, 15, 16. And I could just imagine if you go into a room and you don't know what's going on, you're young, you don't know a thing. And they preyed upon the innocence and the naivete of people, young girls. This was done to young girls. There are rings that do it to young boys. And they preyed upon your goodness and your naivete, brought you into the room. And then you're just like a deer in the headlights. You don't even know what's going on. You don't even know what happened to you. Physically, makes me feel ill. And yet they were just doing it and doing, because you know what it is? Almost in its essence, it's more, as we know, people who know about this and read about this, it's more than just a sex crime. It's about power, and an abusive personality. And this is the easiest way they can take it out on our young, innocent, naive girls.
What I thought you were going to say, Shipley, is we need to trace those wire transfers because it could lead us to someone who has staggering wealth and the ability to make a hit happen even behind bars. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Well, I can't. And I'm surprised that they haven't been traced, all those wire transfers, to find out who's behind them. Not that they're sent to him, but where they went out to identify all the people that are in the ring, which has never been identified. And that's been the whole problem with the Epstein case is we don't know who's.
And how come there is more than enough evidence about Ghislaine Maxwell and what she did? It's well documented. I have a couple books on it. The FBI knows. The local police department knows she was the one who went into the high schools and went into places of business and propositioned the young girls. She was actually the pimp. And yet now she's staying in the lap of luxury. So far as, I did a tarot reading about her. I'm going to put it up before she went into before she got this cushy new place to live. And my tarot reading about her was all that the most important thing to her in the whole world was she wanted to be home. She wanted to be in a place where she felt physically comfortable. That's what mattered the most to her. She needs to feel physically comfortable. And what did they give her? They gave her exactly what she wanted. She wanted physical comfort, and she got it. Ta-da!
Involved and who he's had ties with, especially monetarily. So who sent him this money, and was it for the girls? We don't know. We've got
I
to
guess
trick
you know
those
the phrase "follow
transactions.
the money." I mean, let me go back to Dr.
Exactly.
Bethany Marshall joining us, renowned psychoanalyst, author of Deal Breaker. You can see her on Peacock now and find her at drbethanymarshall.com. I want to see Bethany. Dr. Bethany, you know what I don't like? I don't like a two-tier justice system for rich people
Well, we got it.
and regular people. I just read this article in the New York Times, and it had the interior of Epstein's 7th-floor brownstone. There were all sorts of objects of art. He had a tiger stuffed and lounging on one of his Persian rugs. He had a first edition, wait for it, of Lolita. Oh,
Surprise, surprise.
by Nabokov about an old guy obsessed with a 12-year-old little girl in a relationship with her, Lolita. He had people like Bannon, Israeli prime ministers, presidents, Woody Allen, birds with a feather, over for dinner. He would have scientists, authors. But what floored me, of course, you and I have similar backgrounds. You, child of missionaries all over the world and really bad conditions. Me growing up on a red dirt road that flooded all the time. When I looked at these pictures of all this expensive art, these girls never had a chance.
No.
The wealthy are covering for this guy in Bondi, the U.S. attorney.
Never had a chance.
Is letting it happen. I mean, we're mixing up photos here of the wealth at Palm Beach, Lolita Island, his 7th-floor mansion in downtown Manhattan. It's nauseating. It's nauseating. And one victim described, I believe she was 13 or 14, being led in by Ghislaine Maxwell to give Epstein a massage, and he was butt naked. She's like 13. She's never seen a grown man naked. And the quote, massage starts, then he has with the little girl. It's of course. And then they give her $200. They tip her like she's, a waitress, and she goes on her way. Then I look at the opulence that he has, his billions and billions of dollars, and it makes me sick. I mean, Bethany, when I go to Kroger, I have to show 2 forms of identification.
That's right.
And here he is transferring billions of dollars
That's right.
into Russia banks that have been flagged. And nobody says a thing while he is little girls, Bethany.
Nancy, have you ever heard the term behind every great fortune lies a great crime? He has so many other, I'm going to say primarily men, although there are some women who have also committed great crimes to make great fortunes. And all these men have something to protect when it comes to each other. When I first heard of Jeffrey Epstein, my first thought was, how does like a financial guy get hundreds of millions of dollars in wealth? That has never been clear to me. And one of the things that has not been talked about is money laundering. You know, every therapist in California was made to sign a form this year verifying that we were not laundering money. It was such a strange thing. Lowly therapists who are out there serving the public, just trying to do our job, had to validate that we are not money launderers. And yet you have somebody like Jeffrey Epstein who has billions of dollars going in and out of his account.
Yep,
and everybody
yep.
turns a blind eye. That means that everybody's benefiting in some way, Nancy. Either they're benefiting because they have access to underage girls, they're benefiting because they can launder money too, or they're benefiting just because they get these dinners and private rides to the island. You know, it's like paying for friends, insinuating your friends into your secrets, knowing more about them. Pretty soon you have a band of thieves with everybody standing up for each other. A quick analogy, Nancy, is you know those spy movies where the spy is a double spy and decides to extricate himself. He's on the run, but everywhere he looks, there's an enemy because he knows too much. Everybody wants him dead. All those so-called people he was working for in the past now need him gone because he's holding all of their secrets. And I kind of think that that's what's happening right now, that our current administration is saying, look the other way, don't think about what's really happening. What's really happening is there are probably hundreds of people who needed Jeffrey Epstein gone for multiple reasons.
Lynn Shaw.
All right. Anybody who knows me knows I despise Trump. But when he was running, one of the main things he ran on was he was going to, the first time he was going to drain the swamp. Did that happen? Second time he ran, he didn't win, so burn down the house, mofo. Just burn it down. Gonna burn this house down right now. Third time he ran, what'd he do? Once again, he ran out on the backs of little girls. He definitely ran his campaign on the backs of little girls. And he hasn't helped not one of them. In fact, Pam Bondi is not like a normal attorney general, where they fairly well do act independently. She only does what he wants. And he wanted Ghislaine Maxwell in a cushy place. He wanted to give her as much comfort as she could. Now, I'm also running with the theory that he's not going to pardon her. But let's get her comfy cozy. She's going to keep her little mouth shut. And then, if he is leaving us at the end of 4 years, God, hopefully, he's going to pardon her on his way out. Because who can touch him then? Can't touch this.
Joining me.
Can't touch this.
She has a very special voice today. Lynn Shaw, founder, director of Lynn's Warriors, committed to ending sex trafficking of women and girls. She's the host of Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Lynn, when I think about, let's just go with Virginia Giuffre, but there's so many. There's literally thousands of girls over.
And now Virginia's dead too? Come on.
Tell you what it is. Ghislaine Maxwell is a monster. She didn't just lead the girls in there and make it seem okay.
No, she participated.
She took part.
Yes.
And now she's at Club Fed.
She participated.
I don't know what happened at Lolita Island down in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I don't know what happened. But I wasn't there. But based on what the victims say, it was awful. And now we've got him with billions of dollars, and we're counting on the wealthy and politically powerful to release those files. Bring it home, Lynn. What is this really about?
As if.
Nancy, I have given this so much thought. Knowing victims, working with victims of Ghislaine's and Jeffrey Epstein's. And you know what I'm going to say, and I'm going to let everybody else figure it out.
Fix is in.
Top down. We have so many unanswered questions. You talk about a two-tier justice system. What about the victims out there? On top of this dirty Diddy case, we got this. Why did Pam Bondi even open her mouth and start with those binders that she said she went to FedEx and created them herself, and she made influencers hold them up and opened the can of worms, and now it's one lie after The other.
Because
but
they
let's get
have
back to our
no
justice
respect
system.
for
About
us.
all these victims. I
None.
always heard, being here in New York City, Jeffrey Epstein was a trafficking operation of, do I have proof? No, that is what I heard on the street. And you know what? When you blackmail people with children, that's when you make a lot of money worldwide. And you showed an image earlier, and I saw it, I was looking something up earlier. He had crates that were labeled child porn, kiddie porn, young and younger. Where are all those tapes? We never really heard much about them at all.
Where are they?
We always heard that in France. That was a total.
Here's what I also think, I have a lot of opinions on this case, is Maxwell has the key to all of these tapes. She knows where everything is. And as long as she keeps her mouth shut, she's pretty safe. So obviously, I mean, it's probably everybody could see it. She's holding all her cards close to the vest, hoping upon hope that she would get some sort of a reprieve. If she's in for 20 years, she'll be like, I think she's 60, so she'll be like an 80-year-old woman once she gets out. Anyways, I keep interrupting. I'm sorry. There's just so much with this case. If you hear some noises over here, it's because I've made great headway organizing this whole area this morning. I have things in little piles, and I'm moving right along.
Trafficking operation of 11, 12, and 13-year-old girls. So I ask you all this information. Now we've got the administration telling us, look the other way. We got orange blobs. We got a guy who looks like, he supposedly killed himself with orange paper towels. Please. And you know what? What about these victims? Let's keep going back to that. They're watching all of this. And again, on top of this is why they never come forward. This is why we have such a hard time in the court system, because they're not believed. They're dismissed. And
yes, that's the main point to make about all of this. Well, why didn't you tell this to us sooner? That happened to me, or something that happened when I was 15, and I didn't reveal it till years and years. Oh, why didn't you tell us sooner? Why didn't you tell us about it sooner? Because who's going to believe you and who's going to care? You're a child. And most of these children were already disempowered. He didn't pick on the kids of the wealthy families. He didn't go after Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. He didn't go after doctors or attorneys' daughters. He went after poor people or lower income people's daughters. Yeah.
all the focus is put on these monsters like Ghislaine, who is a predator, a monster. And now she gets to run around with Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos and jog and lift weights. I don't understand any of this, but I do understand. We have so many girls and victims looking at this, crying their eyes out, begging me, what is going on, Lynn?
Another money launderer.
Speaking of Pam Bondi,
Holmes.
listen to what she once promised us. This is from our friends at Fox News. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did. A source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York shop. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m. Thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them.
Oh, lies.
A detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents. Think about it. What if you could delay your next two on more ball to try to see it?
How much more do we have to know and to see to understand what happened here with this clown, with this man? How much more do we have to see and know? This is exactly another cover-up like they did with JFK, RFK, MLK, and it just goes on and on and on and on for years and years and years. And meanwhile, the average person can't even cash a check at the grocery store. Yeah, go figure.
The mind of your brother, Jeffrey Epstein. What I want to talk to you about is that orange-clad figure that is now appearing on video, and people are seeing it for the first time, which is concerning and not in a good way, that we're just now seeing video which looks like someone walking up and down a stairwell, coming out of a stairwell and walking around on your brother's floor. Now, we've been told, maybe it's somebody carrying laundry. Well, can I tell you just off the bat, Mark Epstein, after having been in many, many correctional institutes and jails and juvie jails, you name it, I've been in it. No one walks around without their hands free, okay? It's not like I'm carrying dirty clothes from the back of the house to the laundry room in the front of the house with my arms full. No. In a CI, Mark, if dirty clothes were being transported, they would be in a push hamper with wheels. No one walks around with their arms full of stuff. If you, let's just use the movies as an example, something that everyone would have seen. You don't see wardens walking the halls of a max CI or any CI with their hands full. Their hands are free.
Ain't gonna
You
happen.
never know when you're going to be
Hey
attacked.
Raj, how's it
You
going?
have to break up a fight between inmates. You don't know what's going to happen.
No.
So that is not anybody carrying a load of laundry up and down steps.
Ain't gonna
Mark.
happen.
Well, there's a lot of things in that video that don't make sense. In the early part of the video, they said that they saw Jeffrey, walk into his cell. First of all, you can't tell if that's Jeffrey or not. You can't tell who it is. And you don't just walk into Jeffrey's cell off of that common area. You have to go up that staircase, through a barred locked door, and then into the cell. He was the first cell on the right-hand side of the tier. So you don't just casually walk into his cell. And, I've said before, every time the government tries to squash this thing, they just get deeper into a hole with, misinformation. People have viewed the videotape and they've seen it's been edited and it's been doctored and it's split in a couple of different feeds. So, how do you trust this? You can't.
You don't. You can't.
But the thing with the video, too, early on, Bill Barr said that, he saw the videotape and he saw that nobody went in or out of the tier. And that convinced him that it was a suicide. I pointed out before how ridiculous that is because there were a dozen other inmates on that tier that theoretically could have killed somebody without having to come and go from the tier. So to completely ignore that fact and to come to the conclusion that it was a suicide. And now when you add in the fact that the video does not show the door to the tier and people can get to the door to the tier going down without being caught on camera. So I don't know.
This is Epstein's brother, and my opinion about Epstein's brother is he knew exactly what his brother was up to, and he just turned a blind eye. I'm always wondering, how did both of these two brothers from extremely poor backgrounds in the Bronx, one became a billionaire, and Epstein's brother is a millionaire? How did that come about? He also used to let Epstein's girls stay because Epstein's brother, the one who's talking here right now, is a real estate guy. And he also likes to brag about all his money. He goes, well, I'm never in one place for long. I'm always here or there traveling around. How did Epstein's brother make all his money? And why was he letting all these girls staying? Because Epstein's brother had an apartment in New York close to where Epstein lived. And he used to let Epstein's friends stay there. So don't act like you don't know what's going on. Please don't act like you don't know what's going on. You have to know what's going on. Everybody knows pretty much what's going on with their family. Now, we turn a blind eye. We're gonna, I don't want to know what's going on over there. Because, we'd all had to do that, right? At one point or another. But he just comes off as a little bit too innocent for my tastes. Anyways, hello, Raj.
What footage Bill Barr was referring to, if this is the only video available, and maybe he wants to reconsider his conclusion. Because to me, he looks foolish to come to that conclusion
with the fact that you can't see the door to the tier, and there were other people possibly that could have done this. This was not looked at as a homicide investigation. By them calling it a suicide very early on, it eliminates any further investigating. Because if it's a suicide, there's not much to investigate. But it was never investigated as a homicide, and people are starting to ask for that. So I was working with a group of people that were trying to investigate this, and they were using the assistance of AI, and they put in like all the information that we have, or a lot of the information that we have, and the AI came up with a probability that this was 75% chance of a homicide and only 25% chance of a suicide. One of the reasons it couldn't be more specific is we don't have, pictures of how his body was found. They moved his body after he was found, which they shouldn't have done. So there's no sort of crime scene was messed up. So, and also the fact that the situation with the 3 broken bones in Jeffrey's neck, turns out that kind of triple breakage only occurs in less than 2% of hangings of this alleged type. So the AI put all the odds together and came up with 75% chance of a homicide and 25% chance of a suicide.
Experts now questioning the government's account of what happened the night that Jeffrey Epstein was killed. And this as new CCTV footage has been...
So like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Epstein's brother. That was his brother talking right there. I've listened to the brother speak on many shows, and I've never heard him ever say anything like, come on, we all know that my brother wasn't. He's never addressed anything about his brother. He only started speaking up when the evidence of the foul play came forth. Hey, General C. Monkey, how's it going? So I am suspicious about his brother. Now, his brother also said that he was not in the will at all, but we'll never know that because the will is sealed and private. So we'll never know who got the money. And there's also administrators overseeing the money. So we'll never know if he got any money or if Jeffrey deeded him properties before he died. We'll never know anything about his brother. So I don't really know what his brother's up to, but I'm suspicious.
Covered.
Good, glad you're doing well.
Orange figure near his cell just hours before he dies. Now, why are 11 hours of video from outside his cell at Metropolitan Correctional Center just now being released? This so-called mystery blob in orange.
Because it took that many hours to scrub them clean. Many. One of the girls got on and said there's thousands of FBI and CIA who are all working on this case. What happened to this man that was elected that everything is to cover his ass? Everything that goes on in America right now is to cover Mr. T's ass. How come? Where's any legislation going? Doesn't seem to be any, because Congress is just mired in everything to cover Mr. T's butt. Anyways, if you can see in the back here, I don't know if you can, this is where they're talking about the guy walking around after hours. That's the person right there. Now, they might be able to, people are smart nowadays with computers. Put that into an AI program. You know how you put a photo into an AI and it will automatically create the tree that was missing? They might be able to actually recreate that person in its entirety. So it ain't over till it's over, Mr. T.
Is not someone carrying laundry. That's not true, okay? I've been in enough CIs to know that's not true. When I would go on a CI, I would be totally hands-free.
And if I can add something.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, if I can add, I would like to see the continuation of that video and to try to see what the situation was when they took Jeffrey's body off of that tier. Who was there, what condition he was in, if you could see it. Well, there's also another camera that was working that they're not releasing video footage from yet, or if they ever will. So where's the footage from that second camera that was recording? I'd like to see that.
Well, here's another thing, Mark. We were led to believe at the beginning these two doors we're showing right now were the only ways to get in and out. See this woman right there? She's got a push cart on wheels. She's got everything else wrapped around her, like, a mason would have an apron, or a construction worker would have an apron around his or her waist, where she puts all her stuff hands free. I can't stress it enough for safety. So to suggest this is somebody carrying laundry is total BS. Now, what I was saying before, these two doors, we were led to believe were the entries and exits to Epstein's tier. No. Newly released and only partially, see, he's hands free too, partially released video shows us that there were other entrances and exits, at least one. That's a shock to the system, Mark.
Yes, it was. But not surprising, because so much of the other stuff the government's putting out it turns out to be not so. Let's put it that way.
Why don't we just call it what it is? It's lies. It's lies. They are lies.
Right.
And when there's a lie, even no matter how bad it is, say the two guards really did fall asleep, really were shopping online at the exact time your brother was killed, which is very far-fetched indeed. Even if one of the cameras wasn't working, a lot of coincidences, don't lie about it. So why are they lying about this? That tells me that something sinister or nefarious is happening if you have to lie about it. Mark?
Yeah, well, also what's happening is that more and more people who look at all the information that we have, and not just listen to what the government says, nobody comes to the conclusion that this was a suicide. So now you have to look at it as a potential homicide. And one of the things that a homicide investigator would look at was who did it and why. So you have to look at now who might have possibly been able to pull off this kind of thing, to coordinate this murder in a federal prison. And that's what people should start asking about is, since it's not clearly not a suicide, who did this and why? And that's what a homicide investigator would look at. And that's what I'd like to see them reopen.
Absolutely. And in this 11-hour clip, which is already facing claims of being doctored, you clearly see a shadowy orange figure moving up the stairs to Epstein's cell block. And this is timed at 10:40 p.m. the night before he was found dead shortly after. Again, federal investigators are lying, claiming that a CO, corrections officer, was carrying linen or inmate clothing. No. It is actually another inmate dressed in orange, or someone else dressed as an inmate in orange. Okay, I'm going to circle back to this figure going up and down the stairs. And I can see it, and there are other clips where you see it even better. This is not someone carrying laundry. Do they think we're idiots? I mean, you can see it moving, like taking steps. It's an insult to anyone with even half a brain, for Pete's sake. With me, guys, a special guest tonight. It's Mark Epstein. This is Jeff.
Yeah, there are better videos put out now about this new shadowy figure that they found. You can just do a search and see. This is not really and I think that circle thing that spotlight that they put on there is actually making it worse. Let's continue.
Epstein's mother. Not mix politics with crime. I think it's very dangerous and hurts crime victims. But isn't it true that you spoke to your brother, Jeffrey Epstein, while Trump was in his office?
Yes, that's true. I would speak to Jeffrey and I'd ask him what he's doing, and he'll tell me he's with so-and-so or whatever. And there were times, or at least at one time I remember, he said he was with Trump. And there were people who worked for Jeffrey that was in his office that saw Trump in there frequently. So I don't know why he can possibly come out and say that he was never in Jeffrey's office.
How come he can say that? He can say that because his base holds to no accountability. This man came out and said it right in the beginning that he could shoot someone up Fifth Avenue and get away with it, and his base has followed him along like little minnows swimming in the sea, They do not hold him accountable for anything. Hold him accountable.
It's such a blatant lie that I don't know who would believe that after so many people can testify that that's not so.
What did you believe your brother did for a living? What did he tell you he did for a living?
Oh, here we go.
Well, I knew he managed sums of money for wealthy people, and he invested his own money. That's about as far as I know. I knew very few of his actual business dealings. I know one years ago. I know he bought, or a group of people that he was with bought the company Rydell. It's a company that makes football helmets for all the teams. So he owned that for a while, and I know because he told me, and he also sent me a Jets helmet from the company. And that's what he did. He knew how to make money.
I'll tell you why I'm asking you, Mark. I'm telling you why I'm asking. From the records I've reviewed, he had about $600 million at the height of his wealth. $600 million at the height of his health. But then when you look at other wire transfers, they're up to the billions, that's B as in brother, billions of dollars transferred to accounts, including a flagged Russian bank. I know you don't know the intricate dealings of his business affairs. This is
Or
why I'm
so
asking.
he says.
When you got a guy that has access to billions, B as in brother, billions of dollars, unlike anything I could imagine growing up on a red dirt road, but billions of dollars with very influential people, possibly Russian bankers, and he ends up dead behind bars, and everybody still says it was a suicide. That's so far-fetched. You see where I'm going? You can't be unguarded in a CI and end up dead under these circumstances, having transferred billions of dollars and dealt with all sorts of powerful, influential, and wealthy people across the world. I mean, billions of dollars, Mark? Where did that come from? Do you have any idea?
Oh, the only thing is the business he was in and what he did, he handled lots of money for for billionaires. So chances are he was investing their money or moving their money to where it needed to go. For whatever investment
that
they were
is one
involved with.
explanation.
That's the only thing I can think of why he would be transferring so much money.
Yeah, but from his personal accounts. So if they're from his personal accounts, that won't wash. But you know what? I haven't seen them all. So maybe some of that was his client's money. That is an innocent explanation. Do I believe it? No. But could some of it be attributed to his personal accounts? Maybe. Hey, did you ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yes. Back in the 90s. Jeff and Ghislaine met about 1991 or 92. They became close. And back then, we all used to hang out together a lot. Yes, I knew her kind of well back then.
What was she like, Mark?
Well, she just seemed, I mean, it's hard for me to say it.
Okay, this is new information. Right here, I'm saying this is probably breaking news. I don't think anybody has ever asked him the questions that Nancy Grace is asking him as to if he knew where the money was spent and or how he made his money. Also, did he ever meet Ghislaine? And he knew her very well. Very interesting.
I don't want to get involved with personal stuff. I'm interested in the circumstances of my brother's death. I don't want to get into the case.
Here he goes. He doesn't want to get involved in any personal stuff of if he knows her or what he knows about her or anything. So he's trying to keep a very limited focus on what information he gives out. But this is new information right there. I had no idea that he had met Ghislaine and had hung out with her numerous times.
With my brother or Ghislaine or anybody else. I really want to focus on the circumstances of his death. I can't add much to what Ghislaine was like. There was nothing remarkable about it that I feel the need to comment on.
Okay, I accept that. Why do you believe, Mark, that the White House will not release the files?
because Trump's in them.
Well, I think there's things in there they're hiding. That's why. I mean, they're just
Melania's in them.
So I believe potentially maybe they're hiding information. They don't want things out. I can't think of any other reason.
Let's see.
Listen, I have a lot of theories about these cases, this case with Epstein. My other theory is that Melania, this is a theory I have, that Melania was trafficked as well, probably maybe by that John Luke Brunel, because my understanding is Melania left her home at 16, prime age for being groomed into this nefarious world of glamour and modeling. And really, it's all just about using these underage girls. So she also came into the United States, I think, at a very young age and got one of those genius visas. So I think she might be listed somewhere. And they are also trying to keep the fact that Melania was trafficked. They want to keep that out of the public. Because what kind of a first lady has she been? She's been nothing. Be best? Oh yeah, be best.
I agree with you, Mark. It's not just the homicide. It's the lying. It's the hiding. It's the subterfuge. It's the cover-up. We were told over and over that these files were being released together. Hey, one more thing, Mark, before you leave us tonight. You were talking about your brother being brought back to his cell, I believe, from the showers. He was allowed to go to the showers to make a phone call, from what we've been told, which is completely not kosher. But listen to this.
While correctional officers admitted that Epstein was allowed to make an unmonitored phone call in the showers before he was returned to his cell at 7:40 p.m., CO Tova Noel claims she left Epstein in the showers alone to use the restroom, and by the time she returned, someone else had already escorted Epstein back to his cell. However, it appears that Noel remains in the unit during the call and does personally walk Epstein back toward the staircase to cell block L. Another female staffer left the unit shortly before Noel gave the escort and returned shortly after Epstein was allegedly safely returned to his cell.
So this correctional officer, Tova Noel, says she leaves him in the showers to use the restroom in what we now know to make an unmonitored phone call, which is not prison procedure to make phone calls, to allow an inmate to make private phone calls from the bathroom.
Please.
No. That said, Tova Noel claims she leaves him in the showers, and by the time she comes back, someone had escorted him to his cell. But apparently, on the video, it appears she remains in the unit during Epstein's call and does
Liar.
back to his
Liar.
So why lie? It's a small detail, Mark, but it's an important detail.
Yeah, well, both Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, the two guards that got into trouble initially, refused to talk about any of this. We tried to get to them to find out. Again, question what position Jeffrey was really in when they found him, and they won't talk. Now, this was clearly a suicide. Why such secrecy? Why is everybody so mum? Why is everybody afraid to speak?
Talk.
They were let off. The charges against them were dismissed.
Wow.
You know, a person is dead because of their lack of doing
Yeah.
their job properly, and they just walk free. Whether Jeffrey committed.
This is what I'm saying before. I didn't know that no charges were brought up against them. This is where I'm saying is they need to follow the money on these two. Who are they? How come they've never been interviewed? I mean, you've got the biggest case in American history, and the two guards fall asleep, and their names are not plastered all over every paper. We don't know where they live. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they've gone. Were they citizens of the United States? Did they go back to their home countries? Have their bank accounts been monitored? No. Just let them go. Just let them go.
Suicide or he was killed. He was under the protection of the federal government in a federal prison. You know, neither case should have been allowed to happen. And because of the behavior of these two guards, Jeffrey ended up dead. And they're walking free. So the question to ask is, what kind of deal did they make? And why aren't they talking? What are they afraid of?
regardless of what I think about Epstein, he's your brother, your blood, and I'm sorry for what you and your family have been through. Mark, thank you for being with us. More to come.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye. I have been on here long enough, but my advice to everyone is don't let this go. If you have a YouTube account, go to share and you can post my video. You can post anybody's videos that talk about the Epstein case because there is more that needs to be discovered. And the more we put out there, it does affect the ether. All right, everybody, this is your host on the coast coming to you from somewhere off the coast of nowhere.